Hansel and Gretel's Magical Night. The Gingerbread House Adventure. Tonight, my little dreamers, snuggle under your blanket and get cozy, because I'm about to take you on a soft, magical adventure deep inside a whispering forest, a place where the trees glow gently at night, and little footsteps crunch on sleepy leaves. In this forest live two brave little children named Hansel and Gretel, and their journey will fill your heart with courage, hope, and sweet dreams. Before we start, make sure to tap the subscribe button so you can join us every night for a brand new bedtime story full of love, magic, and comfort. Now, take a deep breath, close your eyes just a little, and let's step quietly into the story. Once upon a time, in a cozy little cottage nestled at the edge of a dark, whispering forest, lived a poor woodcutter, his wife, and their two little children, Hansel and Gretel. Hansel was a brave and clever boy, always looking out for his younger sister, Gretel, who had eyes as blue as forget-me-nots and a heart as pure as freshly fallen snow. One year, the harvest was very poor, and there wasn't enough food to go around. The woodcutter and his wife grew very worried. One night, as the children slept soundly, the parents talked in hushed whispers. "We can't feed them anymore," the wife said sadly. "Tomorrow, we will take them deep into the forest and leave them there." The woodcutter's heart ached, but he knew they had no other choice. Little Hansel, however, couldn't sleep. He crept to the door and overheard his parents' plan. His heart fluttered like a trapped bird. He tiptoed back to Gretel and whispered, "Don't worry, little sister. I have a plan." The next morning, as the sun peeked through the trees, the woodcutter, his wife, and the children set off into the forest. Hansel, pretending to be curious, lagged behind, dropping small shiny pebbles he had collected. He dropped them one by one, marking their path. They walked and walked until they reached a clearing deep in the woods. The woodcutter and his wife told the children to rest there while they gathered firewood. Then, they simply walked away, their hearts heavy. Hansel and Gretel waited and waited. The sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. Gretel started to cry. "Hansel, where are they?" she sobbed. "They've left us." But Hansel comforted her. "Don't cry, Gretel. Look." He pointed to the path. The moon had risen, and it shone brightly on the little white pebbles, which sparkled like a trail of tiny stars. Hansel and Gretel followed the pebbles, and by morning, they found their way back home. Their parents were overjoyed to see them, but the wife's heart was still troubled. Not long after, the food ran out again. The wife was even more determined. "We must get rid of the children," she told her husband. "This time, we will take them even deeper into the forest, and there will be no way for them to find their way back." The woodcutter was even sadder than before, but he agreed. The next morning, the woodcutter's wife woke the children very early. She gave them each a small piece of bread for their journey. As they set off, Hansel, remembering his plan, secretly broke off tiny pieces of his bread and dropped them behind him. They walked and walked, deeper and deeper into the forest. The trees grew so tall that the sunlight barely reached the ground. When they reached the middle of the forest, the woodcutter and his wife said, "Stay here, children. We are going to chop wood. Rest yourselves. When we are done, we will come back for you." Hansel and Gretel sat down, and the woodcutter and his wife went away. Hours passed. The birds sang their evening songs, and the forest grew dark and spooky. Gretel started to shiver. "Hansel, I'm so hungry, and it's getting dark. What if they don't come back?" Hansel tried to be brave. "Don't worry, Gretel. I dropped breadcrumbs. We'll follow them home." But when he looked down, he saw that the birds of the forest had eaten all the breadcrumbs. Not a single crumb was left. Hansel's heart sank. They were truly lost. They spent a cold and frightening night huddled together under a tree. The next morning, they wandered through the forest, hungry and scared. As they walked, they saw a beautiful sight. In the middle of a clearing stood a little house, made entirely of gingerbread. The roof was made of cake, the windows of clear sugar, and the walls were covered in sweet icing. Hansel and Gretel, their tummies rumbling, ran to the house. They broke off pieces of the gingerbread and ate it. It was the most delicious thing they had ever tasted. As they were enjoying their treat, the door creaked open, and out came an old woman. She looked kind and smiled at them. "Oh, my dears," she said in a sweet voice. "Who sent you here? Come inside. You look so hungry." Hansel and Gretel, thinking she was a kind old lady, went inside. The old woman gave them a wonderful meal of milk, pancakes, apples, and nuts. Then she showed them 2 cozy little beds where they fell fast asleep. But this old woman was not kind at all. She was a wicked witch who lured children to her gingerbread house to eat them. Early the next morning, before the children woke up, the witch grabbed Hansel and locked him in a small cage. Then she woke Gretel and told her, "Get up, lazy girl. Fetch water and cook something good for your brother. He must be fattened up so I can eat him." Gretel cried, but she had no choice. She did as the witch commanded. Every day, the witch would tell Hansel to stick out his finger so she could feel if he was fat enough. But Hansel, being clever, stuck out a thin little bone instead. The witch, her eyesight failing, thought he was still too thin and grew impatient. One morning, the witch could wait no longer. "Bake the bread, you little wretch," she shrieked at Gretel. "Tomorrow I will eat Hansel, whether he is fat or thin." Gretel's heart pounded with fear. As she prepared the oven, the witch said, "See if it is hot enough. I will crawl in first to check." Gretel knew this was her chance. "I don't know how," she said, pretending to be scared. "Show me how to get in." The witch, annoyed, said, "Silly goose, the opening is big enough. Look!" And she stuck her head into the oven. Quick as a flash, Gretel gave her a mighty push, and the witch tumbled inside. Gretel slammed the iron door shut and bolted it. The wicked witch began to scream and burn. Gretel ran to Hansel and unlocked his cage. "We are free, Hansel," she cried. They hugged each other tightly. They searched the witch's house and found chests filled with pearls and jewels. Hansel filled his pockets with the treasures, and Gretel filled her apron. Now they had to find their way home. They walked and walked, but the forest seemed even more confusing than before. As they reached a large body of water, they saw a beautiful white duck. "Oh, please, Mr. Duck," said Gretel. "Can you help us cross?" The duck agreed, and one by one, it carried them across the water. On the other side, the forest looked familiar. They ran and ran, and soon they saw their little cottage in the distance. They burst through the door. Their father was so happy to see them. He had been so sad and had regretted leaving them in the forest every single day. Their stepmother, however, was nowhere to be seen. She had disappeared. Hansel and Gretel poured out all the pearls and jewels they had found. Their father was overjoyed. From that day on, they never had to worry about hunger again. They lived happily and contentedly, always remembering the lessons they had learned. And they all lived happily ever after, sleeping soundly in their cozy beds, dreaming of sweet gingerbread houses and brave adventures. Now, close your eyes, my little ones, and drift off to sleep. Sweet dreams. That was quite an adventure, wasn't it, my little one? Hansel and Gretel were so brave, and now they're safe at home, sleeping peacefully, just like you will be soon. Feel your blanket around you, soft and warm, and let your mind drift gently into dreamland. You're safe, you're loved, and you're exactly where you should be. If you enjoyed this story, remember to like the video and subscribe to the Sleepy Cloud channel so you can join us again tomorrow night for another cozy bedtime journey. Good night, sweet dreamer. May your dreams be filled with glowing forests, friendly ducks, and candy houses twinkling under the moon.